There are some things you absolutely must do on your Disney trip, and if you miss them, you're not doing Disney World right. Let's talk about 20 must-dos here at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Disney's Animal Kingdom is the most recently built Disney theme park, but it was built back in the 90s, so it is not super recent. It is an animal-themed theme park, so kind of like a zoo. You can see lots of animals while you're here, but also ride some incredibly popular rides. It is, in my opinion, a bit of an underrated theme park. I think it has some of the most beautiful theming, and we're going to talk about must-dos when it comes to food, attractions, and entertainment, and more today. Coming to any Disney World park can be a little overwhelming because there is so much to do, and odds are you've spent a lot of money and you have limited time here. So these are the things that you should definitely prioritize when you come to Animal Kingdom. Now this list is going to have must-dos on it that you might not consider must-dos, but it's going to be geared towards like the most wide audience, which is why it will not include my personal must-do of seeing the aardvark when you walk in. Is it an aardvark or an anteater? I keep forgetting now. Where is she? Not a must-do, but this is the anteater enclosure, and I don't think she's out. But when she is, you should see her because she's really cool and she's my favorite, and her name is Annie. Even if we didn't see an anteater, we do get to see the Tree of Life. I'd call this a must-do, but it's mandatory. You can't avoid seeing the Tree of Life. It's right here when you walk in. Each Disney park has something called a weenie. I know, it sounds silly, but weenies are the focal point of each park. So in Magic Kingdom, it's the castle. In Epcot, it's Spaceship Earth. In Hollywood Studios, it's technically the Chinese Theater or Tower of Terror, depending on who you ask. Technically, they're both weenies. Or here in Animal Kingdom, it's the Tree of Life. It sort of helps as a focal point for the park, a center element. And the Tree of Life is a particularly beautiful one, in my opinion. Do you know it was built on an old oil rig? Our must-dos today are in no particular order, and the first one I want to talk about is Nomad Lounge. This is, as it sounds like, a lounge spot. It has a menu of some smaller bites to eat, as well as some craft cocktails. Absolutely wonderful drinks here, amazing bartenders. It is kind of like, people always used to tell me that Nomad Lounge felt like it wasn't in a theme park, and I never believed them until I went there. Then I was like, wow. It feels like an actual escape. I absolutely love it because it functions as a perfect walk-up dinner. You do not need a reservation here. Now, you often do have to join the wait list to get in and get a meal here, which is, it can be difficult because this place is so popular, but if you wait a little, the wait list will usually open up. Something that I recommend doing is when you're in the app, the My Disney Experience app, to use that wait list, just keep tapping that little wait list button, even if it says it's full, and you might just get a spot on there. This one isn't as kid geared, but for the adults in your party, you definitely want to try out Nomad Lounge. It rocks, to say the least. Our next few must-dos are going to be in the Valley of Moara, aka Pandora World of Avatar. This is a theme park land based on James Cameron's Avatar movie franchise. It is a very beautiful, incredibly themed land. It feels just like walking right into the movies, right onto Pandora. Definitely worth walking over here even if you're not doing anything, but there's quite a few must-dos here. You should probably be doing stuff in this land. One of our biggest must-dos is going to be Flight of Passage. This is a major attraction here in Pandora. It is the most popular attraction in Animal Kingdom. Tends to have the longest wait. As you can see, it's currently 75 minutes. It is a simulator attraction that simulates the feeling of flying on the back of a banshee, one of those winged beasts from Avatar, and you get to fly through the Valley of Moara. It's absolutely beautiful, pretty large screen, kind of similar to Soarin', where it lifts you up. It can be a little tricky for those who are afraid of heights, so just a heads up there. But it's a very well done attraction, very emotionally arresting. I used to not care about Avatar at all, and this one would make me cry. But I saw Way of Water, and now I'm an Avatar stan. Very pro Na'vi. A great way to ride this attraction is by arriving first thing in the morning and rope dropping it. You'll typically get under an hour wait if you do so. Rope dropping is when you get here before the park opens, as the park is opening, to go ahead and hop in line, and making this your first attraction can get you a shorter wait. Another great way is to ride it very last thing before the park closes. As long as you are in line for the attraction with a minute to spare, so at the 59 before the hour that the park closes, then you are able to ride. This attraction also offers individual lightning lane, which is an experience that you can purchase to go ahead and skip the line. The price varies depending on the day, but you can buy this attraction at individual lightning lane, go ahead and skip the line, so it is not included in Disney's Skip the Line service Genie Plus. A final note about Flight of Passage is that these seats do not accommodate all body types. So if you have any concerns about that, you can use a tester seat outside of the attraction. Just let a cast member know, and they will let you know if the attraction will accommodate you before you wait in a super long line. Our next must-do is a personal favorite of mine, which is to try some Pandoran food and drink. The two food locations in Pandora are Satuli Canteen, which is a full quick service spot, and Pongu Pongu, which is a little kind of kiosk walk-up counter. So Thule Canteen is known for create your own bowls, which in my opinion are some of the best, actually the best quick service food that you can get in Disney World. Kind of like Alien Chipotle, you put it all in a bowl, you get to mix and match what you want. Absolutely amazing, and I love it here. They also have mousses for dessert, which are awesome. And then Pongu Pongu has things like colossal pretzels, something called the Pongu Lumpia, which is a very divisive pineapple spring roll situation. And the Night Blossom, which is a non-alcoholic specialty beverage. They also have a Rum Blossom alcoholic version that's very popular. It comes with some popping fruit pearls. So check out one of these two spots or both. I highly recommend Thule Canteen for lunch in Animal Kingdom. I think it's awesome. And I wish I could eat there right now, but we have must-dos to see, people. We're now gonna take sort of a back path that goes from Pandora to Africa, and we're walking by Wilderness Explorers. That's actually another of our must-dos. So, Wilderness Explorers are kind of a scavenger hunt activity that you can do here in Animal Kingdom. It's more kid-geared, but I think it's fun for all ages. You can go to any of the Wilderness Explorer locations to sort of sign up. It is completely free, and they'll give you a little booklet where they'll tell you where all the Wilderness Explorer spots are around Animal Kingdom. You can go up to these spots. There'll be little short activities for you to do, and the Wilderness Explorers will usually teach you something about the environment or animals or conservation, and when you do so, you'll gain a sticker. You can go around to all the different locations and collect them all. I highly recommend this. You do not have to do all the locations, even if you're just gonna do one, and especially if you have kiddos. It can make Animal Kingdom a total blast. Oh, good timing on our way to Africa. We've got another must-do floating by. So these are the flotillas, and you definitely want to make sure you're keeping an eye on the canals of Animal Kingdom, the rivers, because you might see some familiar faces walking by. It's Pluto and Goofy! Woo! There are certainly character meet and greets in Animal Kingdom. We'll talk about those in a bit, but these are separate. These are character sightings that are super unique because they are on boats. You can see tons of different characters. Pocahontas and Miko, Goofy and Pluto, Launchpad McQuack, and Scrooge McDuck. Just keep an eye on the rivers. You might see drummers cruise by. The flotillas are absolutely amazing. You can see people get really excited when they start passing, so it's definitely a must-do to keep an eye on the rivers to catch a flotilla. They happen whenever weather permits, so keep an eye out for them. Let's tell from our surroundings, we are headed into Africa now. No longer an alien planet. Now, a wonderful visit to another part of the world. There's a pretty long line here, which usually long lines indicate a must-do. Not always though. Don't just get in any line you see. Especially not without knowing all the tips about how to avoid long lines for things, which we can help you out with in any of our perfect day videos or over on the AllEars.net website. This must-do in particular is a show called Festival of the Lion King. This one is heralded by many as one of the best shows in all of Disney World. It's not my favorite in the park, but it is certainly a must-do. The show features singers, dancers, aerialists, fire spinning, tumble monkeys. I won't explain, I'll just show you. As well as some of your favorite Lion King characters like Simba, Timon, and Pumbaa. It is a super fun show, kind of a musical review celebration of the Lion King with a lot of the songs from the film and discussions of the story. It's super fun. There's a lot of amazing talent in the show, and it's just kind of joyful. The audience always gets really in on it, so if you haven't seen Festival of the Lion King, make sure to see it. It is certainly a must-do. As you might be able to tell too, we're not the only ones who think that. A lot of people consider Festival of the Lion King a must-do. This is one that you cannot show up at the time the show starts and expect to get a seat. In most instances, especially those afternoon shows, the theater will fill up before the show starts. So it's best to arrive 30 minutes in advance to get good seats to the show. Sometimes longer if it's a really busy day, but 30 minutes should be good on most days. You don't want to get turned away, and you certainly don't want to wait for the next show because it's sometimes hours later. There is a Lightning Lane offering for the show, which is a great way to make sure you don't have to wait in that long line and still get a seat. But yeah, using Lightning Lane for shows can be a little tricky because typically, if you just play your cards right and get there in advance, you'll be able to get a seat without the Lightning Lane, and you can use that Lightning Lane on an attraction that requires a little more. As a side note, in general, I don't recommend using Lightning Lane here in Animal Kingdom. There's not that many attractions, and typically you can get through everything you want to do in one day. We've actually been able to do all of the attractions and shows at both Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom in one day using Genie Plus, and you can see Emma do that on the channel right now. But for now, let's check out Launchpad McQuack and Scrooge. Woo!
Travel companion,
All right, and we've made it into kind of the core part of Africa, which is known as Harambe Village here in Animal Kingdom. And right on our left here, we're gonna have another of our must-dos. This one, another grown-up must-do. Located right here under this awning is Dawa Bar. Now, Dawa Bar is a walk-up bar that serves a few specialty cocktails. It is one of my favorite bars in all of Disney World. The bartenders are awesome, and on top of that, it doesn't typically have a long line. So if you're coming to Dawa Bar, my favorite is the Ngumu Jungle Juice. It is so tasty. So you can pop right in and grab that if you want it, which is great. I also want to shout out, just kind of as a little note with this one, is that it is right next to the check-in for Tusker House Restaurant. Tusker House Restaurant is a character meal where you can meet Mickey and friends in their safari best and dine on an all-you-can-eat buffet of classic American favorites as well as some African food. One of my favorite character meals by far. So if you're looking for a character meal on your trip, consider Tusker House. Now, of course, on any Disney day, you're gonna wanna shop a little. You need those souvenirs. One thing that is definitely a must-do in Animal Kingdom is to check out some more unique merchandise. Animal Kingdom has some really interesting offerings, including artisanal African crafts by African artists who work here in Animal Kingdom. And you can see some of those here. Beautiful traditional African jewelry, earrings and neck pieces and things like that, as well as walking sticks and wood carvings, animal carvings. Absolutely unique souvenirs. Maybe not the most Disney, but absolutely beautiful. All right, an attraction here, gonna be another one of our must-dos for sure. Do not miss this one, I'm not kidding. Kilimanjaro Safaris is one of the most unique attractions in all of Disney World. This is an actual driven car safari through the Animal Kingdom Safari. So you actually get to drive into the animal exhibits and see a lot of animals that maybe you've never seen before. They are all real animals. It is a living exhibit, so no two safaris are alike. I think it's absolutely amazing. You'll see lions and elephants and giraffes and okapi and cheetahs. There's so many cool animals to see on this safari. A pro tip for the safari is that it does tend to be a better experience early in the morning or in the evening, because at the cooler parts of the day, the animals tend to be a little more active. Right in the middle in the heat of the day, that's nap time. So you won't always see as many animals if you go in the middle of the day. Another great time to ride this ride is during or after rain, as long as it's not aggressively storming, because the animals like the rain, it cools them off, whereas a storm maybe scares them. So Kilimanjaro Safaris, absolute must do, and certainly my favorite ride in this park. This next must-do might be a little obvious, but we're gonna head on Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail to talk about it. It's See the Animals. Animal Kingdom is obviously home to hundreds of animal species, and those animals are living in habitats that are very close to their natural habitats. You can see them experiencing the world, and I have found that Animal Kingdom does one of the best jobs of making it so that you can see the animals while they are still comfortable. So animals tend to actually be places that you can see them instead of like back inside most of the time, because they are comfy in their habitats. And you can kind of do a 2-for-1 must-do with these, because these jungle treks on their own are a must-do. They tend to have wilderness explorer stops in here. There's a bird aviary where you can see a bunch of different birds and do bird spotting, which is really cool. This is a reptile room and they have naked mole rats. So of course you can kind of see the animals on these trails, but the trails on their own are just so well themed and relaxing and delightful and shady that I recommend doing them in addition to maybe seeing some of the other animal exhibits in the park. So seeing animals is one must do, and doing the nature trails is another. And just a reminder that Maharaja Jungle Trek and Gorilla Falls that we went to earlier are both part of that Do the Animal Trails must do. I did not do these very much when I was a kid, and I totally regret it, because now it's one of my favorite things to do every time I come. You probably saw we just walked indoors, and now we're back outside, except if you look up, there's actually netting over this area, because this is the exotic bird aviary. So the birds can't fly away, which is so of course the birds stay in their habitat. And we didn't even like notice that we walked in here because we went through a little building to get in here. So very well themed trails. I just love these so much. Each of the 2 trails also has kind of a title animal. In this trail, it is the gorillas. And in the other trail, you can actually see tigers. I could literally do this all day. These trails are dangerous because I will literally eat my whole theme park day staring at gorillas. Little baby. Our next must-do might surprise you, but I stand by this one 100%. When you're in Animal Kingdom's Africa, you'll notice a big archway that says Rafiki's Planet Watch, with signs that point to the Wildlife Express. Now, the Wildlife Express isn't the must-do, that's a train. And the train takes you out to Rafiki's Planet Watch, which is sort of the secret Animal Kingdom land that's a mile from the rest of the park. Train comes almost constantly, so you won't typically wait for it unless it's like the most crowded day you've ever seen. The animation experience is a really cool activity where real Disney artists teach you how to draw an animated character. It is so much fun. I have taken a lot of friends there to learn how to draw. You know, I've drawn like Bambi or Pua from Moana. It's different characters, usually like they rotate them through, and it's a lot of different characters. It's just super fun doing a guided drawing. It's in the air conditioning. It's a brief experience, so it's a really nice break from the day, and I love it. Might not be a must-do for everyone, but I think definitely a must-do if you're spending your full day in Animal Kingdom instead of just a half day. Not an official must-do, but when you're in any Disney park, you should try something new. I'm going to try a non-alcoholic beverage that is here at Harambe Market that I've never had before and sounds really good and refreshing because it's really toasty. And I'll let you know how it tastes. Harambe Market is a quick service spot that I don't really recommend because I think you can get better food. Specifically, it's the Tule Canteen. However, I will say there is this bar at the very back called Chef Mwanga's. They have specialty beverages, 3 non-alcoholic options that you can get with alcohol. And I'm going to try one of those out. Cheers! Okay, so this is the Harambe Sunrise. The main flavors are Pog Juice, which I highly recommend trying if you've never had it before. This is a great way to try it actually because it's kind of difficult to find. Next up on my list is going to be Streetmosphere. This is definitely a must-do, and Animal Kingdom has some amazing Streetmosphere that's kind of entertainment in the atmosphere around you, like Kevin from Up right here. Other favorite pieces of Streetmosphere here in Animal Kingdom include Winged Encounters, which is where right by the Tree of Life they release a ton of parrots into the sky. They'll fly right at you and above your heads. It's amazing. It was like being in a fairy tale. Our next must-do is going to be Feathered Friends in Flight. This is another show, and it is actually one of my favorites. I don't like it quite as much as one we're going to talk about later, but I do think this is an amazing show where you get to see a lot of real birds doing really cool tricks. It's actually amazing how smart these birds are. They sort of perform for you with like a rooster turning on and off the radio, or there's a bird that comes and takes $1 out of someone's hand. It's just a very cool show, and I think if you're an animal lover, if you're a bird lover, it's definitely worth seeing. If you're scared of birds, I would avoid it because they do fly very low over your heads. They aren't going to hurt you or anything like that. They're very, very well-trained birds, but they do fly very low, so if you're scared of birds, you can skip it. On top of that, around Animal Kingdom, you'll see drummers. There are drummers in Africa, and sometimes drummers will float by on one of those flotillas, which I can actually see happening right now. Oh my gosh, I almost passed by a must-do. We gotta backtrack a bit because there's a snack-based must-do over here. This unassuming little stand right by these bathrooms on the way from Asia into Africa is Mr. Kamal's. Mr. Kamal serves up a couple of snack bite items. I will say they've recently changed out the sauces. They used to have 2 sauces. It used to be even more than that before the 2020 park closures. And I don't know, I miss the 2 sauces because they were a little more exciting than the sriracha mayo. Hopefully they'll come back. I don't know. But still, the fries are amazing and you should get them. Maharaja Jungle Trek is going to be to our left here. So when you see this, these big towers, you can head left towards Maharaja Jungle Trek if you want to see those tigers. But our next must-do is going to be a little further into Asia. All right, our next must-do, you saw it coming, Expedition Everest. This is one of the most popular attractions in this park, but it doesn't typically have a super long wait, which is awesome. It is a huge roller coaster that is both indoors and outdoors and takes you on a journey into the Forbidden Mountain on the way to Mount Everest. Of course, things go a little awry because, I don't know if you've heard this, but there might be a Yeti up there. It's definitely an intense roller coaster, one of the more intense roller coasters in Disney World. So super fun for thrill seekers, incredibly well themed, just a total blast. Expedition Everest is definitely a must-do if you like roller coasters at all. Even if you just don't not like roller coasters, you need to be doing Expedition Everest because it's awesome. Between Asia and Dinoland USA is Theater in the Wild. This is a pretty big theater that has a Broadway-style stage show inside, Finding Nemo, The Big Blue, and Beyond. It's about a 25-minute show that tells the story of Finding Nemo with all of the beloved characters from it, including all new original music that was made for this stage show. It wasn't clear. We have made it to Dinoland USA. This is a bit of a dying land here in Animal Kingdom. So one of the main attractions, Primeval Whirl, was removed. So all that really remains is a small kiddie attraction, Triceratops Spin, which is kind of like Dumbo. Some carnival-style games, a few stands like a caricature stand and things like that. There's a restaurant and a bar, which is nice, and then Dinosaur, but there's just not a lot going on in Dinoland. Some of the ideas that Disney says could replace Dinoland USA are Moana and Zootopia. Now, none of that's confirmed, but they have sort of teased that it's a possibility. But it does seem that Dinoland might be on the chopping block as lands go. Dinoland USA does have a must-do. It's right behind me. This is Dinosaur. This attraction is a dark ride where you go back in time to the age of the dinosaurs, but there's a catch. You're going back in time to right about when the meteor is going to hit. It is very scary, very dark. There are scary dinosaurs, so certainly one of the more scary rides in Animal Kingdom. Now, of course, we're focusing on those must-dos today, but there's a lot more to do in Animal Kingdom. And with that, we're back to Discovery Island, which is that center land with the Tree of Life. But we've got a few more must-dos here, don't you worry. And some of them are pretty important. For instance, right here, there's this unassuming archway This is another must-do, which is meet a specialty character. Here, it's Moana. Animal Kingdom has a number of full character meet and greets. Moana is one of them. It's relatively new. She tends to have over an hour long wait, so if you want to meet Moana, I recommend doing it first thing in the morning to try to skip that wait because she is new and Moana is very popular. You can meet Daisy and Donald over in Dino Land as well as Chippendale. So meet and greets, certainly a must-do. Just pick your favorite character and make time for them. All right, and with that, we have made it to our very, very last must-do. We are back at Discovery Island for the Tree of Life walking trails. Now, if you go this way, you'll see that it's tough to be a bug attraction. But there are also a ton of walking trails around the base of Tree of Life that are pretty darn cool. I wouldn't call it tough to be a bug a must-do, but you should be walking the trails around Tree of Life. There are hundreds of animal carvings on the Tree of Life. Every single one is beautiful, and you can really see them as you head into the It's Tough to Be a Bug attraction. So even if you don't want to see the show, if you're scared of bugs or scared of the dark, you can kind of walk in towards the attraction to see some of those carvings and then just walk back out. And with that, that's our 20 must-dos for Animal Kingdom. If you like this video, go ahead and like and subscribe. And now go watch our complete tour of Disney's Animal Kingdom. We'll see you there. Bye!